Look on your social media feeds. It's a bird. It's a plane. No, it's Krypton's Legacy, a Superman podcast, covering all of Clark Kent's greatest adventures in comics, film, and animation, with your hosts, Adam and Nick.
Welcome to another episode of Krypton's Legacy, a Superman podcast and vidcast. As always, I'm your host, Adam, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Nick. Nick, how's it going?
I'm doing great as always, Adam. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing very well. It's always fun to get together and talk Superman, whether it be in comic book form, television form, or as we're going to talk today, movie form. We're going to be doing a lot of various Superman episodes over the next just under a year as we ramp up towards the 2025 James Gunn directed and written Superman film, which will kick off the DC universe in its truest sense of the word. I know Creature Commandos is sort of the appetizer, as James Gunn kind of alludes to it as. But Superman is where it really kicks into full gear. And on that front, last week, as of this recording, which I won't say because I don't know when, the timing of when this will be released, but last week for us, and the entire internet, or those that were paying attention, James Gunn decided to, I think it was Threads, which he first dropped it on. Mm-hmm. James Gunn dropped the first official image of David Corenswet as Superman in his costume. Funny that Nick was the first person to alert me to the existence of the picture, because I had signed off for the morning. I usually do my morning check of sites that I frequent, and so I had done my thing. Nothing was. I mean, there were some morons on Twitter as per usual, but nothing, relevant or entertaining. So I kind of put the phone down, went about my business, had a karate class, came home, was about to get some lunch going, and then I checked my phone, saw a message from Nick, and sure enough, it was the first image of David Corenswet as Superman. It took a few seconds to process what I was looking at, because I was expecting to get the picture at some point, but for whatever reason, I don't think I was expecting it last week. Well, I don't know why, but so it was quite a bit of a sort of a shock in a good way to have that be looking at that. So before we get into the details of what it is, what was your reaction when you first, like the moment you first saw it? How did that come about?
Yeah, no, so the funny thing enough that you had mentioned too is, like, when I first saw it, there was so much like discourse going on that, like, the picture was fake. Some people thought it was like AI, because it was like, there was this weird thing, like you said, like, it was posted on Threads, so like it wasn't like an official, like, Twitter released image with a caption next to it, right? So it's like people got it from Threads, and then from Threads it like hit Instagram, and then from Instagram it like made its way through Twitter. So it was like this whole like roundabout thing of like how the picture came about. And then I had saw like right before lunchtime. So like, it hit at like a weird time too. It was like lunchtime before a lot of people, I would say too. So it was like that weird thing,
Yeah.
like you said, usually people check off at a certain point because they got to go to work, their lunch break is over, whatever the case may be. So then it's like it dropped, and then I was like, oh, this is real. Like, this is real. Like, the DC official account, the official DC account tweeted it, so yeah, it was out there. So yeah, no, it was pretty crazy, because I wasn't expecting it to at least July, I want to say. I think that's usually when we speculated.
Yeah, I think that's when we convinced ourselves. Like, all right, it'll be July.
Like,
let's just
about a year out, from the movie. So yeah, it just dropping like a random I don't know, Monday or Tuesday, whenever it was.
Right.
It was pretty weird. So they that suit must be outdoors pretty soon, I guess.
That's what I gathered. I said, well,
Yeah.
okay, if he's releasing it now,
Yeah.
within about a week or two, they're probably going to be outside with it. So at least we've got an official picture of it. In all my, and I say it like I've been covering for, God, I've seen so many reveals of the Superman suit, but I mean, in all my years of covering, not even covering via podcast or anything, because this is probably the second Superman costume that I've been able to cover, a costume reveal. Actually, third if I count Tyler Hoechlin's first reveal, which was an unmitigated disaster, but thankfully it turned out for the better.
Good times.
But so technically it's my third, but my second cinematic suit reveal. It's a very unique pose and styling and setup for a Superman reveal picture, because typically what we get is hands on the hips, which was Brandon Routh, which again I didn't cover at the time because I had just started. I think I started podcasting after Returns was when I started the podcast thing. So we had you usually get the hands on the hips. In the case of Henry Cavill in Man of Steel, it was him up against the bank vault, looking like he was going to kill somebody, or about to kill somebody, and then there was. The BBS suit reveal was essentially a slightly altered version of the same suit, drenched in the rain. Again looking like he was constipated. But again, even that had a heroic looking Superman stance of I'm here and I'm going to save the world or snap somebody's neck or something of that nature. But typically we get the heroic pose of hands on the hips, flight, the arm extended in the air, like he's going to fly in the case of Christopher Reeve. I think that was one of the first promotional pictures back in the day of Christopher Reeve. Tyler Hoechlin, as I said, had that weird one where he was standing next to Supergirl, but the photo just looked off because I think that was photoshopped together. Like it was like, or the photographer was really, really bad. Or a combination of both. What I'm saying is it didn't have the stereotypical Superman pose, which actually I think, despite all the discourse, the fact that it's caused this much conversation on both sides of the fence, positive and negative and indifferent, that's a good thing. The fact that the photo was so unique that it got people talking. Because if it was just a standard, here's Superman flying, or his hands on his hips, or with his arms crossed like this, sure, for that day would have been a big deal, and then people would have gone on to the next, whatever the next thing is, the Deadpool popcorn can revealed, or whatever the case would have been. But this picture's had people talking for like 3 days, at least in terms of social media attention, and it's Superman sitting in a chair in what looks to be a high-rise apartment, putting his boots on, or one boot on because the other one's already on, and the second one is mostly on. It's not like we see his foot or his sock or anything like that. And it's him putting on his boot. In the background, there's some sort of purple light beam that looks like it's, I'm assuming, about to do some damage to the city. I'm guessing, unless that's something friendly, but I don't think it is. And there's a little bit of a green hue there, or a tinge of green, which has people speculating, is that Green Lantern? And what is the purple ball of light? Is that Parasite? Is that... I've seen people say Mongol. I've seen people say Parasite, Brainiac is something that comes out, but we don't know. But what I think is what I think is unique about this, just setup of the picture, and then we'll get into the details of the suit, but I want to talk about the picture itself first.
Mm-hmm.
What I think is going on here with this picture is a setup of trying to establish the fact that Superman is doing something as everyday and simplistic as putting on his boot. It looks like Superman's getting ready for work, and that work happens to be saving the world from whatever that ball of purple light is. The simplicity of that, to me, the subtext behind the photo is that this Superman is a hero of the people. This Superman is not the god hovering over, above in the sky, hovering over humanity, looking at them as they look up at him, as their house is engulfed in a flood, and they're waiting for him to save him. Or the Day of the Dead, when the burning building and people are trying to touch him like he's some unattainable deity. This is a very down-to-earth human. He's doing the humanistic thing of getting ready to go to work. And he looks like he's already been in a fight. So not only is he getting ready to go out to work, he's getting ready to go back to work. This to me signifies that the focus of, or the underlining focus of this Superman will be on the humanity of the character. And that tells me, that lines up with, if you look at Superman for All Seasons, that lines up with that. The John Byrne era of Superman, that lines up with that. So it's this idea that, to use another form of Superman, in Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, there's a line where once Lois discovers that Clark Kent is Superman, Clark says to her, because she's trying to reconcile, how can Clark be Superman and all that, and he basically sits her down and says, Clark Kent is who I am, Superman is what I can do. I think that is the underlining point of a picture like that. What's your take on the framing, the style of picture, what I just went through?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like we've each had time to process, the image of itself. It's been about a few days. We've seen all the discourse, positive and or negative. It has been trending on social media for close to a week now, which is great. Like
and it wasn't manufactured trending either. Just to point that out.
Like you want people to be talking about Superman, so job well done. In that regard. But moving over to the picture itself, because I've been thinking about because there's always two sides of it. Like there's, as a fan, how would you drop the first reveal, and then there's what we actually got. So there's always two sides to every kind of official reveal, right? Like it's not exactly the type of reveal that I would have went with, because on the one hand I like it, and then on the other hand I don't. So the part of it that I like is that it clearly is Superman. Like he's got the hair curl, he's got the boots on.
We'll get to
He's got the trunks, yada yada. So it's Superman. Because the thing that you always want to come across, right, is this looks like a job for Superman. Like that's always the first thing that you want to come to mind in any sort of reveal. So taking all of that into account, there was 100 million different ways that James Gunn obviously could have done this. Right, he could have did the Daily Planet pose, like you said, too. He could have just been him flying in the sky. It could have been him next to Lois Lane. It could have been him with Jimmy Olsen and Lois Lane. Right, there's
there's
100 different ways that he could have won about it. So we got what we got. I think the part of the image that strikes me the most is the thing that I have the most critique of, which is the background of the photo. I think if you just keep everything the way it is, with Corenswet sitting down, putting his boots on, I think if there's a brighter blue sky and the sun is glazing over him, I think it's A+, it's perfection, it's exactly the type of message that you want to command. I think all of this discourse is literally what is behind him, not so much what's in front of you. So I think that's really where all this kind of comes about. Because if James Gunn's purpose was to create the perfect Superman comic book cover as a hype engine for his movie, then A plus, because that's an awesome looking.
It does look like a comic book cover. It does,
yeah. Right. But then if the thing that you want to come across is that you're critiquing something that could very well have been a wallpaper of a MacBook, then that's something entirely different. I mean, like, as far as like what it could be, I mean, I've seen things like you said too, that it's the Authority. I've seen that it can be Parasite, maybe it's Brainiac. Like on that front, like who knows? But I think at a certain point, people started talking about what was behind him than what was in front of you, which is what you didn't want. Like, you want to be talking about just Superman itself.
Right.
Or if Lois Lane is in the photo, if somebody else is in the photo. Like, you don't want to be discussing if the world is ending behind him, right? Because then you start to be like, oh, is this a burden to Superman? Like you don't want that to be like your first image, your first look at the Superman movie, right? You don't want that kind of discussion coming about.
And I think one of our mutual friends actually put it well, in the sense that, I think it was Carlos that said something to the effect of, this proves that it's more than just Superman smiling. It's more than just him saving a cat out of a tree.
Right.
And I think that's a very, very well thought out position by him, because I think that stuff is going to be there. The Superman, the happy Superman, the saving the cat out of the tree aspect, ideal of it. But James Gunn has been heavily accused of that's all you can do.
Right.
And this is a way of showing, no, there's more to this guy than just that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think James Gunn was very deliberate by releasing this photo. I don't think he just randomly said, well, yeah, let's put that one out with the background behind it. Because what the hell? I can't make up my mind. James Gunn is very deliberate. We've seen it, the way he speaks, the way he answers questions, and the way he releases photos is no different. So there's a reason behind him releasing this photo. Regarding the suit, let's get into the suit itself now. One of the things I really enjoy about this suit is that it's a homage to the history of Superman by taking bits and pieces from different eras of Superman and putting it into the suit. Obviously, this suit has the New 52 neck, collar, and cape attaching, the way the cape attaches. Now, what I appreciate about that is the New 52, forget about the stories, because there were a few that were good, the rest were horrendous. At least from the Superman point of view, there was some good and then the rest were garbage. But what I appreciate about my issue with the New 52 suit was not contrary to anybody's belief, was not the collar. It was not the lack of underwear on the outside. It was not the red belt. My frustration with the New 52 iteration of Superman was, at least the costume, was that on paper, on the page, it looked like armor. It looked like straight up, like almost kind of like Arkham Knight Batman armor.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, why is Superman wearing armor? Like he's not a knight. We're not medieval times. He's freaking Superman. He doesn't need armor. So that was my issue with the New 52 thing. The fact that they were able to take the collar, the cape, and some of the lines, the way the lines in the suit, which is a modern day superhero costuming trope. They all do it.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that he was able to take those bits from New 52 and not make it look like Kryptonian armor in the sense of like armor. Like when I say armor, I'm talking like the New 52, the bulkiness of the New 52 Superman costume. It was like a counterpoint to Lex Luthor's armored suit. So when I say armor, that's what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that he was able to take those particular pieces of New 52, incorporate it, and not make it look like armor is a big win. Because that's when I would have got a little bit, why are we going armor? Had it look like armor? Obviously, we know that he's got the Kingdom Come S shield. We've seen that. So obviously, that's the influence from Kingdom Come. The outline, which is there, the outline on the S. I mean, people are like, is this one of two suits? We've been over this with the Batman. It's the same logic, folks. Unless proven otherwise, I'm going to assume. And you know what they say: when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me, whatever. And if I look like an ass after this, it won't be the first time. But because of what happened with the Batman, until I physically see a second suit, I'm going to assume that this is it. This is the suit. Because people were like, but the outline isn't there. The outline's there. It's just the angle of the picture, folks. There's a difference between the close-up one that we got back in March or February, whenever it was, and this. It's the angle, so you're not going to see everything 100% clearly. But it's there. When you zoom in, and believe me, I zoomed in for the purpose of this show, and it's there. So the outline is from the Fleischer era. Again, we do have trunks, as you alluded to, which I'm thrilled about, because I like the classics, sue me. But they're there, and again, I zoomed in. Now, James Gunn, for future reference, and again, if this is your thing, if people are into zooming in on men's crotches, cool, you do you. But that's personally, it's not my thing. So next time, James, please, just give us a full-on shot so we can see everything. So I don't have to zoom in on a man's crotch, please. Thank you. But they're there because I zoomed in, and there's the yellow belt, which is more the classic era Superman that we've come to know. It's be it comic books or Christopher Reeve or however you want to phrase it. And he has as you mentioned, the curl, which to me, again, it's a small thing. It wouldn't have make or break the movie if it's not there, but I like that it's there. And it's on the correct side of his head. Unlike in Superman Returns, which for some reason was the opposite side. I'll never understand that. And I have no desire to talk to the director of that movie because he's a weirdo. So I'll never know why he went the opposite side. But so the curl is there. I think the suit itself, and by the way, I've seen people, well, look how dark it is. Folks, I'm not a photographer, but you, and I don't mean an insult to this, Nick, you and me as layman people, unless you're a photographer that I don't know about, you're a photographer, but you and I, the layman people, right? We can look at that photo and say, well, there's a lot of shadow in that area. And even if you couldn't tell that there was shadow, all you have to look at is at Superman's leg. The color of the blue is brighter than the chest area. You know why? Lighting. That's why. I'm pretty sure that the bright blues that we see on his leg and the bright, the vibrant red on his boots and cape is going to be the same color as his chest area. Yeah. I'm almost positive that the costume designer was like, you know what? The suit's colors should generally be the same throughout. I'm pretty sure the costume designer and the person that colored it on paper were like, let's keep the color scheme the same throughout the whole thing. I mean, it's all like if people don't like the photo, cool. If people don't like aspects of the suit, cool. But to me, when you're like, but that looks dark, it's like we're nitpicking for this, especially when there's something in front of your eyes that tells you, oh, maybe this is not a true representation because of, the way, the shape, and the lighting, and blah, 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 blah. You can even see, again, zooming in on the chest area, the emblem is singed as if it's been burned, as if it's been hit by, bear with me here, as if it's been hit by something in the sky that can shoot a laser at it. Like that purple thing. So, like, those kind of nitpicky complaints, I don't understand. But I love the sort of the potluck kind of appreciation of everything Superman that went into this suit. What are your thoughts on the specifics of it?
Yeah, I mean the semantics of the suit itself. This is the part of it that I actually loved. I like the way that he looks.
Yeah.
To me, it looks like classic traditional Superman just sitting in a chair. I kind of dig the Alex Ross influence as well. Some
Yes,
people
I'm glad you pointed. Yeah.
pointed that out too. But I'm kind of with you in the same boat. Like I wasn't expecting the New 52 mixed with the Kingdom Come. A little bit of Fleischer kind of mixed in there as well. But that's not to say that it couldn't ever work. It just wasn't something that I was
Sure. Yeah.
anticipating, like especially like for a first time suit. As well. But breaking it down into context, it looks like a very homemade suit as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if it's gonna stay that way in the movie. Maybe it's just the way that it kind of looks like, looking it on your phone or something. But like when you zoom in, it does kind of like the stitching of it looks homemade. So if that's the case, then my theory of maybe Ma Kent making this suit may finally come to fruition.
And the other, just a note, like
it.
she could have. I mean, it does look
Mm-hmm.
it does look Kryptonian at the same time. So maybe it is a case of these are the blankets that he came in and she fashioned the thing
Sure.
from you, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but the rest of it, like I got a little carried away with, of course, is everything else looks great. I mean, the hair curls there, the trunks are there, the cape looks long enough. It doesn't look too short. It doesn't look too long.
Mm-hmm.
He's putting his boots on, and I agree with you too. I would almost guarantee I would put all the Monopoly money in the world on this. That suit
Yeah.
is not going to be that kind of blue in the movie. I guarantee it's going to be a much more traditional color blue. I mean, if you're thinking it maybe, it'll probably be like the way Dean Cain looked in his Superman suit. I'd imagine maybe it's more like what the animated series suit looked like. I just don't think it's gonna be a darker tint of blue. I would be really shocked if it's like this kind of
Maybe
pinkish-
similar to Tyler Hoechlin a little bit too.
right, yeah, or Tyler Hoechlin's, of course, too. Yeah, right, yeah. I'm just not expecting like a darker Superman suit, like
Yeah. And again, to me, it was just obvious from if you look at the leg, the knee portion.
right.
I mean, you could tell that it's a bit brighter than what you see on the chest area, which is shadowed and also burnt. But
Right.
it is right. So, and again, like you said, the redness of the boots, the color of red. I mean, I love that it's red and not maroon.
Right.
Again, Superman Returns, maroon. Why?
Yeah.
Damned if I know.
After spending so many years in a brightly colored suit, why would his suit suddenly go dark?
Yeah, and then the funny thing is, it's the same Superman.
Right.
So it's like, wait a minute, but just go with me here. You're playing the same Superman. When you left Earth, because that's the conceit of that movie.
Mm-hmm.
When did you have time? Where did you get this other suit from? It's not the same. It's not the same thing. Where did you get it? Wait, was there another one lying in the fortress? Like,
Yeah.
Do you have a closet? And where did those diamond S's on the S shield come from? Like, who did that? Did the hologram of Jor-El do some stitching while he was in there waiting for it? Like, but how did this? And it's like, you went to all that detail. Like, you had him recite lines from Christopher Reeve. You used elements of the same music. But we're just going to change the color scheme. Color scheme of the suit. Nah, we're just going to change it completely. It's okay. Nobody will question it. Nobody cares. But I digress. So again, I love the look of this suit. I think it again. Part of it is because it is that amalgamation, and that there are a lot of different eras of Superman represented here. Chris, our mutual friend and podcast partner, we were talking off air when we were recording another show about how by using elements of different suits, you have an opportunity to please a majority of people. You're never going to please everybody. You're never going to please because Chris likes the collar, the New 52 collar. So he's glad that it's there. I like the trunks. I'm glad that they're there. So you have a chance to please many people. the Superman fans with this suit. So, overall, I think what it left me with was excited to see more. Like, not only do I want to see Lois and Lex and Jimmy and Perry and all the Daily Planet stuff, but it got me thinking with the way he used, James Gunn and the costume designer, the way they used several inspirations throughout history to create this costume. It made me wonder, well, how is Green Lantern going to look? How's Hawkgirl going to look? Metamorpho is a different kind of animal, but how's Mr. Terrific going to look? But then I'd be lying if I told you I didn't say this. If they're using an amalgamation of different eras of Superman, what's DCU Batman going to look like? That's before I said Green Lantern, Hawkgirl, and everybody.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I said, what's Batman going to look like? Because I'm already thinking of that. So this made me anticipate other reveals of the other characters, both in Superman's world and the larger DCU. So job well done on that front. But again, I can't wait till we see it, different, like in action, like in an action pose. Hopefully we get that shot with the Daily Planet logo behind them at some point.
Right.
These are all the things I want to see. That suit, the environments that I want to see that suit and David Corenswet in, and that's what I think we're going to obviously eventually see. So with the suit itself, I think it's safe to say that we're both pretty happy with what we're getting here. Now, again, because there's one comment that I just have to, because I looked at all the reaction and I said, look, I've been covering Superman reveals since 2005 when the Superman Returns suit came out. And, you and I had talked about, well, what if James Gunn does a similar reveal to the Batman where we have the camera test and the music, the score behind them. He didn't do that. But even if he had done that, like, even if whatever James Gunn had done, whether it be the hypothetical pictures that we had talked about before, flying, hands on hips, or the screen test footage with music, no matter what James Gunn would have done, there was going to be this split reaction, at least online. And that's because I believe that, especially, at least, maybe not all characters, but at the very least with Superman, Batman, and Spider-Man, people have ingrained in them a specific version. And that's the version that they see and that they want to see, right? That's the image that they want to see. When the image varies even slightly from what they perceive, they let it be known and they go off the handle. So I don't think we're ever going to get this 100% everybody loves the suit or everybody loves the picture. It was never going to happen. Never. Because when Henry Cavill's suit was revealed, there were people that loved it. There were people that hated it. And there were some in between that was like, when I see the trailer, that's when I'll get excited or not. So this is going to go on. When they reboot, when the DCU is done and they reboot the thing again, down the road, my grandkids are going to be having this discussion probably, or my nephews, grandkids, whatever. This is just going to keep happening, and I think that's what it is. What it is with, at least with those three characters in terms of when their superhero costume is revealed. So, would the idea mirroring the Batman with the test footage and the music behind them been cool? Yeah, was that what I was secretly hoping for? Yeah, it didn't happen, but overall, I like what I got, and I'm really excited to see more. But the reason I bring up that nobody was ever going to be 100% happy was, again, certain critiques are valid, 100%. But there's one I saw that was really stupid, and I have to call it out because, like when something is ridiculously stupid, I have to call it out. Some woman online said, I know what's wrong with the picture. It's very effeminate. It's because Superman is sitting down putting his shoes on. And a strong man should not sit down and put his shoes on. What? Excuse me? Like, hold on a sec, wait a minute. I'm 40. And for as long as I've been putting on shoes and boots, I sit down. Yes, I understand. You can stand and get a shoehorn and put your shoe on. That is a very valid way of putting your shoe on. How does that make somebody or somebody effeminate or not? It's the stupidest thing. How is a superhero supposed so because he's a superhero, is he supposed to leap into his boots? I don't understand this. See, that's not a critique saying here's what I don't like and here's why I don't like it. I'm an idiot and I need attention on the internet because that's the only thing that makes sense. It's like, and the other one, I'm like, and again, it's kind of relevant, but it's kind of ridiculous at the same time. It's the idea that, look, Metropolis might get destroyed and he's putting his shoe on. Folks, can we be real for a second? Do you think James Gunn is going to have a scene in the movie where Metropolis is getting damaged and Superman in slow-mo is putting on his shoe while things are happening behind him? Like, really? Is that what we think he's going to do? Because I can guarantee you with 99.9% certainty that that's not going to happen. And if anything, if the scene starts like that, the minute Superman looks outside and sees shit hitting the fan, you're going to see him speed up in super speed and head out that window. So, again, it was a shot taken on set. It's not necessarily indicative of a scene happening in the movie. We don't know whose apartment. And the other comment, how can Clark Kent afford that apartment? How do we know that that's his apartment? It's a set in the movie. Could be Lex's high-rise apartment. Maybe he was in the middle of doing something with Lois. So I'll leave it to your imagination what they were doing. But that's it. He took the clothes off and he's putting them back on. I don't know, but it doesn't guarantee that it's his apartment. It's the stupid overthinking. And then there's just, again, the comment about the boot, effeminate putting on the boot seat. That wasn't even thinking at all. But it's just like, guys, can we use some common sense? So that's what I mean. No matter what James Gunn would have done, if he would have done hands on the hips, you would have had the people, oh, look, he's just copying Christopher Reeve. And if he would have been flying in the air, why isn't his hair moving? Why is it stiff? Like there would have been so many. So no matter what he would have done, there would have never been universal approval. And spoiler alert, and maybe I'm wrong here, but you can chime in. It is my belief that, yes, it was trending on social media. But you know who was paying attention to that? People like you and me who are fans of this stuff, who have podcasts that purposely analyze this stuff, and who, here's the best part, no matter what that picture would have been, you and me are going to be there opening weekend. You know who probably has no idea this picture exists? The general audience. Do you know when they're going to see the first imagery from Superman for the first time? The teaser poster. Or maybe even the trailer. So as far as I'm concerned, the general audience doesn't even know that this, or a majority of them don't even know that this picture exists. It's just us having these reactions. We're going to be there day one. Or 2 or 3, depending on people. I can't presume people's schedules. I'll be there day one, but other people maybe day 2 or 3, depending on what they're doing. But the average person, they're going to get excited when they see a trailer. The trailer is going to determine it's going to get them in the door, right? The trailer. And then the quality of the movie itself will determine whether they come back and have rewatches, and it's a massive success or not. That's what's going to determine that, not this first picture. So let's take it for what it is. Take some of the praise and criticism both ways as valid. Throw some of the garbage opinions out, because there are some garbage opinions. Throw those out, and let's just anticipate our next peak, because it's coming. We're going to get more characters. There's a lot to discover yet, and we're going to be on this journey with you and covering it all as we go along. But any more thoughts, final thoughts on the?
I mean, I guess I'll just reiterate what you kind of said too. I mean, like obviously, like there's still so much time, to make a lasting impression. You know, I've always been somebody in this space that's been, while the lifelong mantra is that first impressions are always the most important. That is true, but it doesn't have to mean the one after that can't be just as memorable. So I think while this first impression might have really hit the nail for some, maybe it's in the middle for others, and maybe it missed the ball for other people, which is totally fair.
Sure.
There's still over a year to course correct, to do all these kinds of cool things. You know, the Summer of Superman tagline is something that I'm really coming behind, and I think
that should be a marketing thing.
And then there's a really cool thing that DC and company can do here, you know, throughout the course leading up to the movie. You know, the same way Summer of Batman hit, right? Or the Summer of Batmania hit, right? I mean, like, there's this cool thing. While, of course, it's not going to be the same. I'm not an idiot. Like, I'm not suggesting that.
Of course.
But there's this cool thing that for the first time in over, count X amount of years, however it may be to you, you can hit the nail on the head with Superman here. The same way that you did with Batman. You can really, you can get the news outlets covering this. You can get people wearing Superman shirts again. You can get Superman ice cream for all I care. Whatever the case may be. Like they really have a chance to really do something really, really cool. I think for the first time in a long time with Superman, and that's what excites me.
Remember that, just as we close here. Remember the first reveal of Robert Pattinson as Batman?
Yeah.
Was it 100% universal praise? Because I remember it not being that.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I remember some Twitter conjecture. Oh, this is going to bomb. Look at this, how terrible this looks. Nobody's going to go for this suit.
Mm-hmm.
Just again, 760 $760 something million.
Yeah.
After all of that nonsense of look at that suit doesn't look. It's nowhere close to what Affleck wore. People are going to be screaming for Affleck back. I remember that. I mean, I'm not making that up just to knock the Snyderverse. That was a thing.
Yeah.
The general audience isn't clamoring for Ben Affleck back after seeing the Batman. So it's the same thing here. It's
mm-hmm.
People. Let's see what the general audience
mm-hmm.
thinks when they get the teaser poster, when they get the trailer.
Yeah. And the thought of something new is always going to scare somebody. So there's that as well.
Yeah. So and again, there's going to be more pictures. So if tomorrow, there comes an on-set leak where he's standing next to the Data Planet Gold, and it's brighter than what we saw here, and then then all those people are going to go, oh, look at it now. Those same people that are throwing tantrums are going to be the other way. So again, it's part of the ride.
Mm-hmm.
Let's enjoy what's coming next. I am personally even more excited than I was last week before I had this picture for this movie. So I can't wait. Bring on the next reveal. Bring on more DCU castings. Bring it all on and tell us who DCU Batman is, just so we can stop the ridiculous fancasts. But I digress.
No more Jensen Ackles, people.
Or that something Skinner, whatever his name is. And no offense to him either, but I don't think he's going to get it. Anyway, if people want to talk with us about Superman some more before our next Superman-centric episode, you can always do that on social media, where people overreact about everything. So where on social media can they find you, Nick?
Yeah, Ben, thanks again, Adam. This was a blast kind of revisiting the reveal as well. I'm super, super excited. For more, you guys can hit me up on social media at Nick Zennick. I'm most notably on Twitter and Letterboxd at Nick Zennick, just my name. And you guys can also hear me on the Vigilante 1979 podcast. Just search the name in whatever podcast feed you listen to, and you will find and hear more of me. Thank you, sir.
Awesome. If you want to track me down, it's at Adam_LeafsFan on Twitter. The Facebook group is available. I will put the link in the description. Click that link, and we can continue the conversation there if you so choose. But until next time, remember that Superman is forever. From the first time he puts on one boot to the last. So long, everybody.